welcome to Unwanted Football Opinions. I'm your host Elijah. Joining me today are my friends Advait and Jittu. Roll intro. Okay, welcome to another episode. Today we'll be discussing primarily about the Bundesliga. And it will be the same format in which we have discussed the Premier League. So we'll have to cover what to expect, our predictions for the top four and teams to watch out for, players to watch out for, and matches to look out for. And since we have an ardent Bundesliga fan amongst us, I think that will not be very hard. So let's go. Jitu, please tell us what to expect from the upcoming season. The season that's already started actually.
Yeah, the upcoming season, I think it's going to get a bit more competitive because the other teams are showing some signs like they want to win the titles. Leipzig are improving every single season. And there's a surprise team that might come next season, that is Hertha Berlin. Okay, they've gotten some new investment. It's very hard to get investment. There are certain regulations in Germany, like you can only have a certain share or something. So Hertha, I'm expecting, because they made a lot of big signings, not as big as Bayern or Dortmund and all, but still. So I'm really hoping they're going to push for top four. And Leipzig, they're getting stronger and stronger. I think there will be a point, I think in the not so recent, like it won't be too far ahead, like they'll pip Bayern and they'll become champions. And Dortmund, I'm not sure if they're able to challenge, not because they don't have talent, because the thing is that they don't have a proper system, like system. Yeah, you can win matches and all, but that system won't win you titles. And the coach, individual talent wise, they are only I think only a little bit second to Bayern. Rest all, they are completely superior to Leipzig in terms of individual talent, money, everything. But they have to change their mentality if they want to win.
Okay, so what would be your predictions, the top four?
Predictions are, first I have to go with Bayern, not because I'm a Bayern fan, because I don't see them going down. It's really hard for another team to... Leipzig will give them close. So I'm going with second with Leipzig, not Dortmund, because of the fact they have a very good coach. So having a good coach, I think it's put you a bit higher than having a little more quality players, because he can build upon the players he has, and he has made I think reasonable signings. They've got back Angelino again for another year on loan, and they've made I forgot his name, Korean guy, Hugh Winson something. He's from Salzburg. Like they got him as a replacement for Werner. And he's a very good player, I think he used to play with this, I think Haaland and all. Okay, this fellow, he played I think 10 games. He's very young guy. 10 games, he got some 5 goals and 4 assists or something. It's very, very good. And I'm expecting to see him, how he plays out. Then the third, I've got to be Dortmund. So, see, Dortmund can come second. Okay, if all their players shines, and the thing is, the Dortmund is that the Sancho situation is very unstable. Like, we don't know, he might even go in the winter break. God knows what will happen. So if he goes, it will become a big hit on Dortmund, because they have a small they rely on Sancho a bit. So second, I think Leipzig are stronger as of now. Third, Dortmund. Fourth, I'm going to go with Hertha, just because of the reasons I mentioned earlier. And
Good.
The Europa Leagues, it's going to be Gladbach and Leverkusen. Leverkusen, they'll be there. They'll always qualify for Europa somehow, somewhere and all. Okay, that's all.
Thank you, Jittu. Advait, please stop doing weird stuff on camera. Yes, Advait, please tell us what you are expecting from the season that has started and your predictions for the top 4 and top 6.
Yeah, I feel that Bayern is gonna break more records this year, and it's obviously they're gonna be first. And second, I feel that Leipzig will actually come second, because of the same reason that Leipzig is a more organized team than Dortmund right now, and Dortmund has had few good signings, but anyway, Leipzig has a structured team, and Nagelsmann is a really good coach. And third, I would go for Dortmund, and fourth, I would like. I think this year Wolfsburg can surprise us by coming fourth.
Okay.
And fifth, as he said, Hertha Berlin and Leverkusen and Mönchengladbach fighting for that fifth and sixth spot.
Do you have any reasons to
Reasons:
have a
few signings also,
Yeah.
like few players departing and few signings like Patrick Schick came coming in to Leverkusen, who was actually a Roma player but on loan with Leipzig, so that's a good signing.
okay?
Then Hertha Berlin, as I had read about that, Hertha Berlin has had a small takeover, like a small financial boost. So they can
Okay.
come good. And I feel with Dortmund, what they're missing is actually is that that instinct is not coming. Like they don't want. It's not that they don't want to come first, but they're not holding on to their players. So when you have a player who is still unstable in his mind, like Jadon Sancho, you never know. Like Manu can actually come up with a good bid, and he might actually leave. So you never know what is going to happen. Like you need to rely on one player at least in your team. That okay, this guy's going to stay, and my team is going to be based around him. Considering that Marco Reus is generally injured, although he was fit for yesterday's game for the DFB Pokal, so I feel Leipzig has a higher advantage over them.
True.
But hasn't the manager, CEO, or whatever chairman of Dortmund said that Sancho is staying, is not going anywhere? He started training
Yeah,
with our
he has said, but
team, etc. etc.
recent developments say that Manu want to come back in it again, and they want to actually go till the last day of transfer season, that is 5th of October, and kind of push Dortmund for that. But Dortmund are supposed to be very tough to negotiate with, and I also feel like this summers at least he might not go, but in the winter transfer market he can go. And Manu have shown that quality that they can spend in the winter transfer markets also. Like last year Bruno Fernandes. So you can't just rule out him going out. That's the thing.
Okay, Jitur, what would you like to say about the transfer situation at Dortmund for Sancho, especially?
Like as of now, it's stable. They'll say that he's not going to leave, but I don't think that will be for a long time. You see, I expect like max 1 year. Okay, even if they somehow manage to retain him for a winter break, next year even the player will also start to think like he needs to move out to somewhere. He needs to move to England. Like normally, I think these English players will have a tendency to play at home. They'll feel better there. They're like it's a matter of a little bit of popularity, famous and all. Like they're playing in Germany, nobody will notice them. Like all those issues will come through, and eventually Dortmund would have to left go. But as of now, they can still use him in this season, and they have to use him to the full extent because if they have any chance of winning the title, because he has to play a big role in that. Last season he played a big role, I think, in the first half of the season.
True.
But towards the second, it sort of drizzled out. Like he wasn't performing as good. I hope he keeps that consistency. Yeah, that's all.
And there's the other weird situation at Bayern also regarding Thiago. He said that I'm happy at Munich. I don't want to go anywhere. But he also didn't sign a contract extension.
There's actually
And he's like, there have been reports, but I'm not linked anywhere.
There's actually two huge situations in Bayern. One is with David Alaba and one is with Thiago. Two are very big players for Bayern. The Thiago case, okay, it's almost as if sure he wants to go to the Premier League. Like it's just because he wants to play in the Premier League, he's leaving. So the thing is that the Liverpool or whichever club who wants, they have to pay at least that minimum 35 million, which is actually very reasonable. And that is why Bayern are not letting him go till now. So if no club is meeting that standard, like at least 30 million before the transfer window, I think they're going to keep him for 1 year and like let him go for free. I think that is better than selling him under 20 and all. the other big situation is David Alaba. So because if he goes out of the club, literally the backbone of the club is going to break, because he holds the defense together. He's like that leadership figure in back. So thing is with Alaba is it's not all any of these issues. It's about his wages. So this guy is having the same agent as that of Lewandowski. So there was an issue with wages with Lewandowski, in which they demanded like 20 million per year. So the thing is that Bayern won't give that much wages because they have a proper wage structure. They will have like certain hierarchy for giving wages. So since Robert Lewandowski was a big superstar and all, so they considered and give to him. So Alaba, after like he's been there for a long time, so like until he changed his agent to this guy, there was no issue. So this guy, he's pressuring him, like pressuring the club to give him like 25 million per year, which is more than Lewandowski. Like he's going to be the highest paid player in the team. So obviously Bayern are against it. Like there has been like disputes, like publicly the Bayern board member and former chairman like Uli Hoeneß, he publicly said like his agent is some bitch or something. I not remember what something. Like he is greedy and all. So there have been blackouts, and Alaba's father also did it. Like they didn't expect this from Bayern and all. Like it's becoming a bigger issue than the Thiago issue right now. And I hope a proper solution is found, because there's it's just wages. And I hope if they can fix around 17 million. 17 million is not as much as Lewandowski, but as much as other senior players like Manuel Neuer and etc. and all. They all get 17 million. I hope they can fix it up, and I hope he values where he stays and what he has achieved in this club more than what like wages. And I hope he gets rid of that agent. That's all. Fellow is a menace.
Thank you, Jitu. Advait,
Yeah.
would you like to say something about the confusion regarding Thiago also?
Yeah, Thiago is like one this thing now, like one vicious cycle. So I had seen this post on Instagram. Out of Thiago goes to Liverpool, then Wijnaldum leaves, and like there's this huge cycle. But I feel still again like what is happening with all PL clubs. That guy is literally like on a platter and no one is bidding. And I even read somewhere that Liverpool actually want to do the same, like towards the end they want to go for it. Like, so that they can actually play hardball with Bayern Munich. Actually, that's a technique that usually Bayern Munich uses. But Klopp is very well capable of doing it, and it's a good thing. It's sports dynamics, and it's okay if he can even get a deal for 5 million less. So yeah, it's a good deal, and obviously he's not going to Barcelona. He's not going to go to his ex-club. Those rumors are just rubbish.
No.
I agree. Okay, that brings us to the teams that we should watch out for. Let's not talk about Bayern and talk about any other club, because obviously all eyes are on Bayern. So let's talk about other teams that you should technically be looking out for.
Yeah, so the first team that I feel that we should look out for is
So I was
Hertha
saying-
Berlin, and then
Sorry, I was saying.
second is
Check.
I feel you should look out for a club like Leipzig, like what they can do from here. Leipzig actually just didn't come to the Bundesliga just to be second or third. They are a team who have like achieved so much in 3 years, 3 or 4 years, like after coming to the top tier. So they are a club I feel who will just ascend more and more. And in their defense, this plays their Dayot Upamecano, who is a real good like center back, I feel. So
For his age, especially.
yeah, for his age, especially like I think so. Like in Bundesliga, two of the best young defenders are Upamecano and Alphonso Davies. Like they just have a own image of their own. So I can expect a lot from Leipzig this year.
Very good. Thank you. Jitu, any team that you would say we should look out for?
As much as I like want it, I would like to see Wolfsburg getting to Europe at least, because whenever they came to Europe, actually they performed very well. The thing is that I don't like about Leverkusen and Gladbach is that when they play in the Champions League, whenever they play, they'll be just very horrible. Very horrible. Like last year, Leverkusen got into the Champions League and they went into the Europa League. Okay, they were horrible. Like you qualified, at least show some little bit standard. But Wolfsburg, whenever they got into the Champions League, they got to the knockout stages. That is very good. Like they know how to. I think at least like they have that mentality in them. The thing is with like Wolfsburg is that they always just miss out, just miss out, just miss out. And of course, Hertha Berlin and Leipzig. Those are the main teams you want to watch out for. Yeah.
Thank you, Jitu. Any other players that you have in mind that we should specifically look out for because you tout them to be very big through the season?
Yeah, it has got to be Leipzig striker. I'm sorry, it's very hard for me to pronounce his name. I think it's Hume. Okay, it's okay. I think you'll understand. Okay, he is going to be big signing because he has to fill in the shoes of Werner. Like it's very big shoes to fill, and we have to see how it turns out. I expect him to be spot on. Like he's a very good talent, and yeah. And the situation with Sancho, like how he's going to play. Is he going to be half-hearted or he's going to give full? That's all.
Okay, Advait.
Yeah, I would like to look out for Jude Bellingham from Dortmund. And the second player I would say is Leroy Sané for Bayern Munich.
Okay, thank you, Advait. Any matches that you want to look out for? Like you should be like, or you would say like this is a match you should compulsorily watch if you want to know what the Bundesliga is like.
Yeah, I feel it's
For people who don't watch the Bundesliga.
It's gonna be Leipzig versus Bayern Munich and not Dortmund versus Bayern Munich because it is a more interesting match nowadays than
Very true.
the latter. Than the Der Klassiker. Better than that is Leipzig versus this.
I'll
Jitu.
give you 3 matches. One is you have to watch Schalke versus Dortmund. Forget last year. Last year was rampage and all. Yeah, because it's going to be intense. Like they're going to be fiery attitudes there because they have a little bit hatred. Like it is the oldest rivalry in Bundesliga right now. And of course, you have to watch Bayern and Dortmund. It is coming up. I think the Super Cup is going to be Bayern versus Dortmund. So like 24th, yeah, 24th. And Leipzig versus Bayern. Because last season there was no clear winner. Like it was draw both times. So we'll have to see because I'd like to see competition between Flick and Nagelsmann because last time only once they faced because at first it was Kovac. So I'd like to see them there. That's all.
Okay, I think that wraps up our prepared section of our podcast. I think we can move on to our off script now, and which is personally our favorite part of the podcast. Would anyone else like to start off before I start my rant? Anything else that anyone else wants to talk about? Anything at all? Okay, looks like none of them have anything to say. I don't know if I should start off with my topic about PL first or about the Liverpool versus Leeds match. So I know it's completely off the Bundesliga topic, but this is off script. So yeah, so first I finish off my Bundesliga thing first. I know that Bayern are going to finish first again, but on a personal level, I want to see a different winner. Not because I want Bayern to fail or something, but I want it to be more exciting. It's like for us, it's a given at this point. For people who don't really follow the Bundesliga much, Bundesliga who wins? Bayern. It's a standard like that. And I'm not saying it's bad. It's good for Bayern, especially with the way they're playing and all. But I really want either Leipzig to prove themselves or Dortmund to finally level up and do something worth noting that people will sit up and take notice saying, oh yeah, there are other teams in Germany that are capable of actually putting out powerhouse performances. So that is one, which brings me very nicely to the PL thing that I had planned. I keep encountering people who keep texting me or keep asking, or you don't get many comments on our Instagram page or YouTube page. But generally when people text me, they'll be like, Premier League is the best league on planet Earth, this, that and all. and this was particularly jarring when you think that no Spanish team or English team had even made it to the semifinals of the UCL that was recently won by Bayern. So I don't know, like just because you watch a league doesn't mean that it is the best league, and just because you follow players from that league and just because you know the clubs from that league doesn't mean that's the best league. Especially that now that you consider, there was I was reading an article on the Athletic the other day, which was talking about Messi trying to move to Manchester City and how that thing didn't pan out. And there was a very interesting part of the article that said the Premier League has missed out on another global superstar. So before I start off with that line, Jitu, can you tell me your top three football players, like not like upcoming or etc., who you would say were like the best three in the world right now?
Oh my god. Okay, that is very hard. I've never had anything like that. So okay, I'll just say my.
It's your personal opinion,
Okay,
so it doesn't
so
matter.
my personal.
Whatever you think.
Okay,
is
my personal favorite is of course is a person I value most is Manuel Neuer. Like that is my personal favorite according to me. On a general basis, I think I have to go little bit Messi. Just missing out on Ronaldo, like it's just because of the fact that after I think Ronaldo had a certain injury time, like which restricted him from doing all these skill moves, dribbling, whatever it's. So he stopped this dribbling. Like he's turned into what you call winger into striker, poacher sort of role. But Messi is still doing the same thing he did when he started, like dribbling past all those players, playing wherever he wants, and yeah. And third, I have got to be Lewandowski and De Bruyne. It's a tie between them.
So one is
Messi, second is Ronaldo,
two is Lewandowski, or second is Ronaldo, third
is Lewandowski and De Bruyne. I can't split them.
Okay, it's a tie. Yes, Advait, your top three.
My top
Like in the world.
right now. Yeah, right.
Not right now, like in general. If you look over the, let's say, the past 5-10 years,
Hey.
anybody.
Okay, I'll just speak about right now. Okay, so first is for me is Robert Lewandowski, second is Messi, and third is Kevin De Bruyne.
Okay, so now that we've all got it down, if you notice, both of them said De Bruyne. He's the only player you're talking about in the Premier League. If that is the best league in the world, why is your favorite player only one among them? Why are all of them not playing there? So if somebody is going to text me again and say Bundesliga is that, this is that, Premier League is the best, I'm going to start swearing. This is not Ronaldo is at Serie A, Lewandowski is in the Bundesliga, Messi is in the La Liga. Premier League doesn't have shit. So if you have any of those preconceived notions that other leagues are crap, I understand that Premier League has very tight schedules and there's a high level of competition, etc., etc., etc. But if you're talking about the best players in the world, not even one features among them. So anybody who keeps saying Ronaldo has done this in the Premier League, but Messi has not left his comfort zone, etc., etc., etc. And people have been. I've read this a lot when Messi was going to leave. They were like, "Can you do it on a cold winter night in Stoke? You can show all your useless opinions up because it's good for nothing." Everybody knows if they're considering you the best in the world, it's for a reason. So the Premier League bias that this is a certain thing that people are great here, my club is greater, your club is greater, your clubs are not in the UCL for your kind information. So I don't know where that stems from. Then now I'll stop with my Premier League rant and I'll quickly finish off my Liverpool, this thing that I had. Leeds United. Can each of you take 30 seconds and tell me how excited you were about watching that game? Advait.
Honestly, I was super stoked after watching that game. And the minute they gave the first penalty, I was really upset, honestly. And the first goal that came in by Leeds, oh, I was like, this is the game. And it was like exactly how you wrote in your blog. It was like Bielsa telling Klopp, okay, I can use the same thing, and this is how I play. I can use the same technique, I can press, and with a very small group of players, not so famous players. And yeah, but Liverpool lately, I have been like it was even mentioned where many places some of unforced errors are coming in. Like somewhere or other, like Gomez does something or Van Dijk does something. So that I think so. One goal was just like Chuma, that Patrick Bamford goal. But yeah, and I feel Leeds were really exciting to watch, and I expect a lot from them. And if they play like this, they can actually like even win against many of these top 8 clubs in Premier League. They can actually win against them because if they're playing that high press game, just if they solve their defensive issues.
Jittu, did you watch the game at all?
Not fully. I think when it was very close 1-1, that state I started watching. Yeah, it was very good. I think one big thing I noticed was that in the second half, Leeds had 65% of the possession and Liverpool playing on the back foot. Okay, I was really shocked to see that. But then somehow Salah came in, scored a goal. Like if they didn't have that defensive issues and all, I think Leeds would have. I think at least it would have been a draw or they would have won it. Because I was very shocked to see that stat.
Yeah.
They were just shown just in the yeah, speak.
Yeah, for Leeds, it's a very good thing because they're playing very good, attractive football of attacking, counter-attacking, very great pressing, which kept the pressure on the champions of the Premier League. But on the other hand, their defense was very bad. They scored 3, but they let 4 go.
Yeah.
So, as much as it's exciting to watch, what is the point if they're not going to stay in the Premier League despite them playing very well? So, maybe they should focus on getting at least their defense right. Given that, yeah, most of their players had to go on national duty and it was kind of difficult there. But, yeah, you are on the top level and it should be expected. Moving on to Liverpool, I wanted to stress especially on 3, let's say 4 players. One is Roberto Firmino. I know that he's very important to the team. He gives assists, he presses, he draws out players so Mane and Salah can go in. But I think it's high time they start looking at other options because they bought you as a striker and you adapted into something else. But if you're not able to convert in the final third, you're not able to get in and score well, what is the point of having you on the team? And second is, I think there's an obvious lack of coordination now that has come to the fore in the back four, especially Trent and Robertson. They're not able to track back that fast, and generally all 4 of them are supposed to hold a proper line. Like the back line should be very rigid, and they should know where they are, and they are not like that. And though I agree that the first goal was a combined fault of Joe Gomez and Trent, it happens. But then there was another goal which is a mistake of Virgil van Dijk, and then there were the third goal was definitely not anybody's fault. That was just pure brilliance. But the first 2 were definitely the faults of defenders who should have been man marking them or should have been holding the lines properly, whatever. But they didn't do that properly, and that brings to the fore of why signings are important. It's not that these guys are not good enough. It's just so that all of them were on national duty, and when they came back, they were obviously tired. They had like 2 days or something to prepare, 2 or 3 days to prepare. So that is explainable, and that explains why you should make signings not only in your creative midfield role but also defense for backup. Yeah, if Trent was tired, you should have played Nico Williams then. If Robertson was tired, you should have played Kostas Tsimikas then. But then you didn't do either of those. But I do understand because it was a high pressure game, and Klopp had said from the start that if there was any game that we didn't want in the beginning, it was these 2 or 3 games, because the first one was Leeds, second was Chelsea. All of them are high pressure games. So he said if there were any games that we didn't want, these are the games. But yeah, that's the intensity that the league plays in, so that's explainable. Which also brings to the fore about why teams should be signing more players. And we talk about United and how their bench strength has to be boosted, and that's why they bought Donny van de Beek. So I think clubs all around the world are just looking for that one signing, like the one big name signing, like say 80, 90 million, so that those clubs can go and buy other players, and so the transfer market will suddenly become active by one signing. I think that is the only thing lacking. And I also want to talk about in the next 2 or 3 minutes about Kai Havertz yesterday, it was very weird. I know that's not. I know that's he's not used to playing like attacking football and great football, but he looked especially lazy yesterday. I didn't watch the game live, but I watched the replay yesterday, so it looked very weird. Advait.
Yeah, I felt the same. He was quite lazy. Like no one was satisfied. The only like moment which was good was when he gave a nice ball to Werner, and once actually he made a very bad mistake. Like the team was high pressing fully Chelsea, and he gave away the ball to the striker of Brighton. But the good part was that he ran 80 yards till the goal line, and he sprinted and he got the ball. But he was really like many people were kind of found it weird. But yeah, I feel first game, yeah. But you can't play like that against Liverpool. 100%, they'll punish you badly. The only positive from yesterday's like game was Werner. People just went mad because he was running everywhere, and he was like, if the ball was somewhere, he just ran at from 0 to 100 speed in 1 second. I don't know how it happened.
Yeah, Werner was doing Werner things.
Yeah, like what was he doing? I couldn't understand. So yeah, but Kai Havertz kind of weird, and we actually Werner might miss out the Liverpool game because of a dead leg. So now even more scared. Liverpool will punish you if you play like that. I know that for sure.
Jito, did you watch the game? If you didn't, it's fine.
No, I didn't watch the game.
I just watched the replay, so I am not very well watched. I didn't watch it live, but I watched the replay, like not the highlights, the replay.
Okay.
The Reece James goal was legendary. And apparently that was his first goal, like on the big stage.
Yeah. First PL goal ever.
It was sensational. Like, if people are comparing him, putting him up there with Trent Arnold, that is one of the reasons why he's brilliant. And I think in some ways he's actually better than Trent because his defensive work rate also is very high. And not that Trent is any less. Trent's both attacking and defensive are good, but then, what should I say? His defensive capabilities are not that good. Not that his work rate is bad, but both Robertson and Trent are not able to defend that well, and that has been pointed out from the beginning. They are very good, but then essentially that means Liverpool are playing with 2 or 3 men at the most in the back. So it became a 4-man defense to a 3-person. Out of that, only 2 are proper defenders. And if Fabinho is not there, it's literally only 2 defenders. And one of them also tracks forward. So there's only Van Dijk left in the back. And as much as you can expect him saying that he is this and all, how much can one person do against a team that presses really hard like you saw in Leeds? So yeah, I think that brings a wrap to our session for today.
Yeah.
Anyone wants to add anything in the last 1 minute?
Nothing.
Yes, you can say your goodbyes.
So thanks a lot for that. Bye. Edward signing off.
This is Elijah signing off. Liverpool need to make signings. And Bundesliga, please come up with a new owner. Please come up with a new owner. Thank you. Goodbye.
Okay, guys. Bye.